Hello and welcome back to the Traveling Knitter channel. This video is going to be my very last TBR of the year, which is my December TBR. And TBR stands for to be read, so it's going to be the books that I would like to get to in the month of December. So what I am doing for the month of December was to look back at my 21 or 20 books in 2021 and see which ones I haven't read, which there's a few, but there's less than I thought there would be, so which is really good. So I'm kind of just looking at the ones that are left and which ones do I want to read in December that I think I want to get to. Basically, that's the same sentence, just said in two different ways. Great. Okay, so let's start with a Kindle book that I want to read is going to be Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I have put this on numerous TBRs and have just not gotten to it, but I think December will be the month. So Mexican Gothic is like a Gothic horror novel. Essentially, our main character gets a letter or something from her cousin saying, hey, you need to come rescue me from this creepy house. And when she gets there to do said rescuing, I believe her cousin maybe acts like she didn't send her anything, or is like, no, I don't need rescued, or she's not there. I don't remember, but I believe I remember hearing that when she gets there, things are just not what they seem, and yeah, so it sounds great. It won, I think, the 2020 or 2019 Goodreads award. It's won several awards. I've read two other Silvia Moreno Garcia books and I've loved both of them, so I'm sure I'm gonna love this one, although it is not so much in the fantasy realm, more in the Gothic thriller, of which I don't read a ton of thriller because I find them to all feel like the same book, so I just don't read thrillers very often, which I know anyone who doesn't like fantasy would probably say the same thing about fantasy. That's fine, thriller's just not my thing. So anyway, with that said, I am looking forward to reading Mexican Gothic. Another book I'd like to get to, I believe, is a standalone, which is kind of why I'm picking it, but it is The Walled City by Ryan Groudon. So I don't know a ton about this one other than it is a walled city, and I was flipping through it and I guess there really was a walled city. There is, I guess it was called Kowloon Walled City. So there's like some historical pictures in the back of the book. I love that. Big fan. So, I mean, the tagline says run fast, trust no one, always carry your knife. The cover is really cool looking. I bought this at a Half Price Books, if I remember correctly. This follows Jin, Mei, and Dai, who live in the Walled City, and the Walled City is a labyrinth walled city that is run by crime lords and street gangs. And I guess Jin is trying to like lay low, stay undercover, disguised as a boy, but she has a missing sister, Mei. I'm not sure if we follow Mei or if it's just, you know, a big part of it is just about Mei. And I guess Dai does something or enables something to help Jin find her missing sister. And it sounds like it's gonna be like a really suspenseful book. The way the chapters are set up is with dates, so 12 days, 9 days, so I get it. It appears to be a countdown. A countdown to what? I don't know. And oh my gosh. Oh, there, look at that. 1 day. So I feel like this is gonna be a fast-paced, really fun read. I have both Wolf by Wolf and Blood for Blood, which are fantastic, and we're both 5-star reads, so I'm expecting to love this book. Since it's the end of the year, I'm trying to pick up some shorter books and books that I think I'm going to really fly through without losing like the power of reading it. Does that make sense? Like, there's sometimes books that you don't want to fly through, that you really want to sit and digest, and then others, it's no big deal. I think of that as like high fantasy. I don't necessarily want to fly through it. And then like Regency romance, I can fly through that because I don't need to remember everything because it's typically not a series, if that makes sense. But anyway, another book I wanted to read is Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. I have heard this blurbed on multiple podcasts that I listened to when this came out, which was 2019. Pretty sure it was pre-pandemic. Yeah, 2019. And this is like a political, I don't know if it's so much of a drama, but it's about this like babysitter or nurse who helps raise, sorry if you can hear the updates, who helps raise 2 stepkids, and when the stepkids get upset about something, they just catch on fire. And something about this book has drawn me in every time I hear it, and so I think this will be really quick to read, hopefully, and I think I'll really like it. I don't read a ton of just general fiction because I don't think this is historical fiction. I mean, the blurb says a stunning portrait of the push and pull of parenthood, which parenthood, not something that I'm interested in at all, but I'm interested in this book. A book that I thought I would get to earlier in the year, but then I follow this author on Twitter and she shared the cover of the sequel, which made me think, oh, I should probably push this one to later in the year so that I'm reading it closer to when the sequel comes out. And that is Tess of the Road by Rachel Hartman. So I believe last year I read both Seraphina and Shadow Scale, and I really liked both of them. Seraphina I had read once before in college, but I'd never continued on with the series. So Tess of the Road, which honestly has one of my favorite covers. I think it's so gorgeous. There she is, I'm assuming Tess, standing there, and it's a dragon, but really it's a winter scene. And the spine is gorgeous. I'm not a big fan of the cover redos for Seraphina and Shadow Scale. I like, where's the original? Here, I'll show you Shadow Scale. I like the original Shadow Scale much better. Nothing special on the inside. And then the Seraphina that I have is that cover. So I like those much better. So Tess of the Road is set in the same world of Gorid, and it follows Tess, who is, she's not like everyone else, which is basically the tagline to most fantasy novels. And she basically, instead of going to a nunnery to be a nun, seclude herself and live a life of silence and boredom, she pretends to be a boy and hits the road, which again is definitely the premise for a lot of fantasy novels. I've said it many times. I like traveling quest fantasy novels. She's sort of on a quest, but I think it's more of a quest to find herself, and I'm here for it. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this book, as well as the sequel, which comes out in February of next year. Okay, so this next one, it's a chunky book. but I know I will breeze through it. One of my best friends and I, we are going to be reading one book a month in this series, and it's Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. So the 7th book in the series just came out, which I'm filming this like right after Thanksgiving. It's 50% off already at Barnes & Noble. Just came out, hardback. I have the Outlander books in paperback, so I don't really want to buy the hardback version of Tell the Bees I'm Home, I think. So if you don't know what Outlander is, it is a historical fiction time traveling novel. Both settings are really historical fiction. One is right after World War II, and then Claire, she somehow gets transported back into 1743 Scotland, where she meets Jamie Fraser, and gosh, I feel like everyone knows what Outlander is about. So it is a TV show, a fantastic TV show. I have watched, I think, the first season that goes over the first book, and I have read the first book. So it's been many, many, many years, because this thing came out 1991. I didn't realize this was this old. Huh. That's crazy. This book came out when I was born. But then it says copyright 2009. So I'm wondering if it got re-edited for 2009 and then it became a show in 2014. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty old. So I'm looking forward to starting this, reading this, and then honestly talking about it with my friend, because she's been reading the same series for the entirety of 2021 and probably 2020 as well. It's the Warriors Cat series. Not for me. Definitely her vibe though. But I'm so looking forward to talking to her about books, because I've missed that. So yeah, Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. Who knows? Maybe 2022 is the year that I read this whole dang series, even though it's not finished yet, but you know what I mean. Another shorter fantasy book that I want to read this year so that I can start the series is Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Yes, this has been on multiple TBRs, but it's on that final 2021 list, and I feel like this is going to be a very quick YA fantasy novel. So this is about Jude and Carden. Like, I know quite a bit about this book because of BookTube and this being a very popular hate to love romance fantasy. Essentially Carden and her two sisters, are part fairy, and they are stolen away to the High Court of Fairy, and they're kind of like ostracized because the fairies are mean to them because, you know, they're part human. So they're kept separate. And then Carden is the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. And I'm not really sure why they like interact, but they do. And somehow they fall in love, even though they hate each other. And the last book that I hope to get to, which this might be a stretch, is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. The reason why I say this might be a stretch is because this book is one that I don't see myself just breezing through, because it does seem a bit more dense, but it would be great to at least start this book so that I can, you know, have another trilogy getting me through. I don't like binge watching or binge reading. I like to have like breaks in between things. So like, for example, if I could move this guy, like the Shadow and Bone series, right? Like I've been reading that this whole year. These books are really short, or not, well, kind of short. They're really easy to get through. I could have read them in 1 month, but I don't. I don't like to do that. I like to separate them. So, you know, I'm starting quite a few series this month, in theory, hopefully. So it would be kind of like I'd read one of these, and then I'd read a different fantasy book, and then I would come back and read the second one, read a different fantasy book, that sort of thing. That's how I like to break up my reading. I don't like to be all in the same genre or the same method of consumption. Like I like listening to audiobooks. I enjoy reading on Kindle. I love hardbacks. I like to just jump around. The Poppy War is about Ren, who passes this test that enables her to go to this academy where you learn to be a warrior. Now, this isn't what her guardians wanted, because they wanted to use her as a pawn to further their, not credibility, but standing, I think, in their criminal war gang thing. But she's an outsider in the school. I believe she has a heck of a hard time because she is an orphan, she's a peasant, she's probably not the right nobility or from the right region, and I believe war breaks out. I've heard that this is like a very dark novel and trilogy, but it sounds great. It sounds great. I'm here for it. And so The Poppy War is the last book that's officially on my TBR for December and 2021. With that, I hope you enjoyed. If there are any books that sound really cool or interesting to you, let me know down below. If you have an end of the year push to read books that you've been wanting to read, or just books to get your count up on Goodreads, let me know, and I will see you guys in another video. Thanks, bye.